Hello everyone, Jacquie Edwards here. So I'm on late, but I recorded a video at exactly 1 o'clock when I was supposed to be on live, and it didn't save, so it is nowhere to be seen on Facebook. And then I keep going on my computer to do it again, and it just keeps erroring. So I'm on my mobile now, coming to you live. So I want to talk about how to hire a property manager. Now, there are a couple of key things that I really want you to think about before you hire anyone, whether it's in your rent-to-rent business or in any other business that you have. Now, I've had quite a bit of experience at this, so I built a team in my own rent-to-rent business. So rather than hiring out and, finding a management company to manage my properties for me, I managed them all in-house. I did everything from the very beginning. So I started by, finding the properties, finding the tenants, managing the properties, helping the tenants move in, managing their maintenance requests, keeping everything going. I did it all to start with. And then, that's just not sustainable, and it's not what I want to do forever. That's not why I started a rent-to-rent business, was to become like a full-time property manager or landlord. So as time went on, I started building up a team to take over those tasks for me. Now, I prefer to build a team rather than hiring a company to do it for me, because that way they're doing things the way I want them to be done. And I have more oversight and, you know, more, yeah, I'm able to kind of control the process a little bit more. Maybe I'm just a little bit of a control freak, but I like to be that much more involved. So I built a team to do the day-to-day side of things, and I just acted as manager looking over things. So I built myself pretty much as passive of income as I think was possible, with me just having to do kind of weekly management meetings and just kind of looking over reports and making sure everybody on the team was on top of things. So how did I hire that property manager? First thing I think you need to do is you need to make sure you've got a good job description. I see so many people go out there and just be like, I'm just going to hire people. And they go out and they find somebody to work for them. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a friend of a friend. I've seen people get, tenants to kind of help them manage their properties, do viewings, things like that. That's great. But in the long term, if you're running a professional business, you need to kind of hire the right person. In order to do that, you need a job description. In order to do a job description, you need to know what that person is going to be doing. So you need to probably have some processes put together. Now, again, you'll have been doing this from day one. So all you need to do is make a couple of checklists, some bullet point lists. So just super easy of here's step by step what you want that person to do. And you should kind of have that for everything that you do in the business, whether it's like, here's how I do viewing. Here's how I respond to a spare room message. Here's how I respond to a tenant with a maintenance request. Just bullet points. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. If you do want to be super fancy, Process Street, so process.st is the software, online cloud software that we use to make beautiful processes. So I could record myself registering a deposit. So do a screenshot of me recording it on my computer, upload that into Process Street, and then anytime, my property manager needed to record a deposit, she doesn't have to ask me how. She just watches my little video I've recorded and does the step-by-step checklist. It was beautiful. But if you don't want to do that, you can just, write it on a couple pieces of paper, write it in Word, step-by-step bullet points, whatever it is. So put those bullet points together, use that to make your job description, and really think about what you want that person to do, because we're all different in how we run our businesses, and we're all different in what we enjoy doing. So I really recommend that you figure out what you absolutely hate doing and don't want to do anymore and pass that on to your new hire. What a lot of people do is they will pass on to the new person the stuff that they think is really easy. So the stuff that you think is really easy and is probably slightly more enjoyable is generally what's in your zone of genius. So you shouldn't be passing on to somebody else that stuff and thinking, oh, because it's really easy for me, it'll be easy for everybody and anybody can do it. And then you keep all the really hard, miserable, painful things for yourself. No. There is somebody out there that wants to do all your hard, painful, miserable things. They love those things. So for me, I'm not a huge people person. So going on tenant viewings was painful for me. I mean, the tenants could tell I was awkward. I felt awkward. It just wasn't very fun. The same with kind of managing tenant requests. Like, yeah, I can do great on the admin and get everything organized and, make sure it's all fixed. But on the actual talking to the people side of things, it's not my core skill set. When I hired somebody to do that, that person loves people. And when they're, doing a viewing with people, she loves them, and that tenant can feel that. That tenant can feel really cared for and really loved and really special. Whereas when I do viewing, they just feel kind of awkward, like, who is this person and why does she want me to live in her house? So really think about that when you're hiring and putting your job description together. What do you want that person to be doing? First of all, that's going to, save you lots of time and hassle so that you're not struggling with something. And so you can really zone in on what that person's zone of genius is going to be. What can they really do well? Now, most people can't do everything. So you probably have to break things up just a little bit. So usually I found it was great to have somebody that did my viewings, that I called the letting manager, and somebody that did the property management side afterwards. So kind of managing maintenance teams and requests and things like that. So one is more of an admin type skill, and the other one is more of a people type skill. So again, really think through, what do you want that person to do? What kind of skills do they need to do it? And put together a really nice job description. Then you need to think about, how are you going to kind of pay them and hire them? Are they going to be self-employed, or are they going to be your employee? Now, there's lots of things to think about there. I prefer self-employed. I prefer that they just invoice me, once a week, once a month, whatever it is. And, I pay them a set amount. They are not my employee. I don't have to give them holiday pay. There's no statutory sick leaves or maternity leaves or anything like that. They are just a contractor, self-employed. Now, you do have to be kind of careful as to how that's structured and make sure your contract is structured properly. If you want more information on that, look into IR 35 is the legislation around contractors, and that's where people kind of get caught in, are they a contractor or are they self-employed? So I preferred my people to be self-employed, so that way they just send me an invoice. And I prefer to pay by results. So when I had somebody doing my viewings for me, I would pay them £100 per tenant that moved in. So I wouldn't pay them per viewing or per hour. I don't care how many viewings it takes. Well, I prefer it to be less viewings, and I don't care how many hours they work. If it takes them a week to fill a room, I don't care if it's taken them 40 hours in that week or 1 hour in that week. I want them to fill that room. So I'm happy to pay £100 for that tenant. I don't want to be paying, £5 an hour, because then I feel like there's not really an incentive to get things done. So I prefer to pay for kind of results. That's a bit harder when you're looking at the property manager job, and it's, that's more of an hourly type thing. They're answering phone calls, they're kind of organizing maintenance teams, things like that. So I do pay that person hourly. Again, they're self-employed. Usually I found you don't have to hire them for as many hours as you probably think you do. None of my team was full-time. So my property manager was working about 15 hours a week, and that's when I had 23 properties and 150 tenants, and she was working 15 hours a week. Now again, I had somebody else doing viewings, so the two of them together probably added up to maybe 25 hours a week during the busy time. So really think about how often you need. People are going to take a little bit longer than it would take you to do things. Nobody's going to care as much about your business as you do. So they're going to take a little bit longer than you, but generally you don't need somebody full-time. And even if you do have a 40-hour-a-week job, I almost prefer to have 2 part-time people doing it, because then if one person goes on holiday, the other person can fill in a little bit and you don't have to be the one filling in. So that's also another reason why I split my letting manager and my property manager job. So that way there were 2 of them. One person goes on holiday, the other one can cover for a little while. So kind of think through, how do you want your business to run? Put together your organization chart. You're at the top. What do you see below you? Kind of keep it lean and mean. The more employees you have, the harder life is. Or the more self-employed. The more people you have working in your business, the harder it is. But really consider, what do you not want to be doing? What do you want to be doing? What do you love? Keep doing that stuff. What do you hate? Start outsourcing that to other people. Put together a good job description. Understand how you want to pay that person, how you want to hire them, get a good contract, and then get out there and see what you can find. Now, it might take a couple of tries to find the right person. Give everybody a little bit of a trial period. Say, let's work together for, 3 months, a month, see how it goes, and then decide how we want to move forward. So hopefully that's given you some great food for thought. And yeah, I will see you next time.